Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? Today, we will be doing the. We will be reading Harry Potter, the first book actually. The first book for Harry Potter. Shit. Yeah. Ugh. Okay, we'll be continuing off where we left off. Oh, smokes. Okay, the boy who lived. My dear professor, surely a sensible person like yourself can call him by his name. All this you know who nonsense for 11 years I've been trying to persuade. People people to call him by his proper name, Voldemort. Professor McGonagall flinched, but Dumbledore, who was unsticking to 2 lemon drops, seemed not to notice. It all gets so confusing if we keep saying you know who. I've never seen any reason to be frightened of saying Voldemort's name. I know you haven't, said Professor McGonagall, sounding half exasperated, half admiring. McGonagall, right? McGonagall. McGonagall. But you're different. Everybody knows you're the only one you know. Alright. Voldemort was frightened off. You flatter me, said Dumbledore calmly. Voldemort had powers I will never have. Only because you're too noble to use them. It's lucky it's dark. I haven't blushed so much since Madame Pomfrey told me she liked my new earmuffs. Professor McGonagall shot a sharp look at Dumbledore and said, The owls are nothing next to the rumors that are flying around. You know what everyone's saying about why he's disappeared? About what finally stopped him? It seemed that Professor McGonagall had reached the point she was most anxious to discuss. The real reason she had been waiting on a cold hard wall all day. For neither as a cat nor as a woman had she fixed Professor McGonagall. Professor McGonagall.
McGonagall.
Oh, McGonagall. McGonagall. Hello, Yolanda Flower. If you're here still. Yeah, I think I should add bookmarks next time, to be honest. Kind of lost track of where I was. It all happened in a blur. Oh, smokes. Professor McGonagall shot a sharp look at Dumbledore and said, The owls are nothing next to the rumors that are flying around. It seemed that Professor had reached a point she was anxious to discuss the real reason why she was there. It, it was plain that whatever everyone was saying, she was not going to believe it until Dumbledore told her it was true. Dumbledore, however, was choosing another lemon drop and did not answer. What they're saying, she pressed on, is that last night Voldemort turned up in Gollick's Hollow. He went to find the Potters. The rumor is that Lily and James Potter they're dead. Dumbledore bowed his head. Professor McGonagall gasped. Lily and James? I can't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. Oh, Albus. Dumbledore reached down and pat her shoulder. I know, he said heavily. Professor McGonagall's voice trembled as she went on. Hello, Asher, double exclamation mark with a man. That's not all. That's not all. They're saying he tried to kill the Potter's son, Harry, but he couldn't. He couldn't kill the little boy. That little boy. No one knows why or how, but they're saying that when he couldn't kill Harry Potter, Voldemort's power somehow broke and that's why he's gone. Dumbledore nodded glumly. It's true, faltered Professor McGonagall. After all he's done. All the people he's killed. He couldn't kill a little boy? Hopefully I can finish reading the first book. It's just astounding. Of all the things to stop him. But how in the name of heaven did Harry survive? We can only guess, said Dumbledore. We may never know. Professor McGonagall put out a lace handkerchief and dabbed at her eyes beneath her spectacles. Dumbledore gave a great sniff as he took a golden watch from his pocket and examined it. It was a very odd watch. It had 12 hands but no numbers. It must have made sense to Dumbledore though, because he put it back in his pocket and said, Hajit's late. I suppose you'll see you told you I'll be here, by the way. Yes, said Professor McGonagall. And I suppose you're going to tell me why you're here, of all places. I've come to bring... I saw him kicking his mother all the way up the street, screaming for sweets. Harry Potter, come and live here. It's the best place for him, said Dumbledore firmly. His aunt and uncle will be able to explain everything to him when he's older. I've written them a letter. A letter, repeated Professor McGonagall faintly. Sitting back down on the wall. Really, Dumbledore, you think you can explain all this in a letter? These people will never understand him. He'll be famous, a legend. I wouldn't be surprised if today was known as Harry Potter's Day in the future. Exactly. burying space in it, but I can't. Lily and James are dead, and poor Ellie and Margot's. Yes, yes, it's all very sad. But get a grip on yourself, Hajit. All will be found. Professor McGonagall whispered, patting Hajit gingerly on the arm as Dumbledore stepped over on the doorstep. Took a letter off his cloak, tucked it inside Harry's blankets, and then came back to the other two. For a full minute, the three of them stood and looked at this little bundle. Hajit's shoulders shook. Professor McGonagall blinked furiously, and the twinkling light that usually shone from Dumbledore's eyes seemed to have gone out. Well, said Dumbledore finally, that's that. We have no business staying in here. We may as well go and join the celebrations. Yeah, said Hajit in a very muffled voice. I'll best get this bike away. G-night, Professor McGonagall. Professor Dumbledore, sir. Wiping the streaming eyes through his jacket sleeve. Hajit swung himself onto the motorcycle and kicked the engine into life. With a roar, it rose into the air and off into the night. I shall see you soon. I expect, Professor McGonagall, said Dumbledore, nodding to her. Professor McGonagall blew her nose in reply. Dumbledore turned and walked back down the street. On the corner he stopped and took out the silver put altar. He clicked it once, and tall balls of light spat back to their street lamps, so that Privet Drive glowed suddenly orange, and he could make it out of the tabby cat, sinking around the corner at the other end of the street. He could just see the bundle of blankets on the step of number 4. Good luck, Harry, he murmured. He turned on his heel, and with a swish of his cloak, he was gone. A breeze ruffled the neat hedges of Privet Drive. Which lay silent untidy under the inky sky. The very last place you expect astonishing things to happen. Harry Potter rolled over inside his blankets. Without waking up. One small hand closed on the letter beside him and he slept on, not knowing he was special, not knowing he was famous, not knowing he'll be woken up in a few hours' time by Mr. Dursley's scream. As she opened the front door to put out the milk bottles, nor that he would spend the next few weeks being prodded and pinched by cousins Dudley. He couldn't know that at this very moment, people meeting in secret all over the country were holding up their glasses. And saying in hushed voices, "To Harry Potter, the boy who lived." Nearly 10 years has passed since the Dursleys had woken up to find their nephew on the front step. But Privet Drive had hardly changed at all. The sun rose on the same tidy front gardens and lit up the brass number 4 on the Dursleys' front door. It crept into their living room, which was almost exactly the same as it had been on the night when Mr. Dursley had seen that fateful news report about the owls. Only the photographs on the mantelpiece really showed how much time had passed. 10 years ago, there had been lots of pictures of what looked like a large pink beach ball wearing different colored bonnets. But Dudley Dursley was no longer a baby. And now the photographs showed a large blonde boy riding his first bicycle on a carousel at a fair, playing a computer game with his father, being hugged and kissed by his mother. The rooms held no sign at all that another boy lived in the house too. Yet, Harry Potter was still there, asleep at the moment, but not for long. His aunt Petunia was awake, and it was her shrill voice that made the first noise of the day. Up, get up now. Harry woke with a start. His aunt rapped on the door again. Up, she screeched. Harry heard her walking toward the kitchen, and then the sound of the frying pan being put on the stove. He rolled onto his back and tried to remember the dream he had been having. It had been a good one. There had been a flying motorcycle in it. He had a funny feeling he had the same dream before. His aunt was back outside the door. Are you up yet? She demanded. Nearly, said Harry. Well, get a move on. I want you to look after the bacon. And don't you dare let it burn. I want everything perfect on Dudley's birthday. Harry groaned. What do you say? His aunt snapped through the door. Nothing, nothing. Dudley's birthday? How could have he forgotten? Harry got slowly out of the bed and started looking for socks. He found a pair under his bed, and after pulling a spider off one of them, put them on. Harry was used to spiders, because the cupboard underneath the stairs was full of them, and that was where he slept. Uncle Vernon entered the kitchen as Harry was turning over the bacon. Comb your hair, he barked, by the way of a morning greeting. About once a week, Uncle Vernon looked over the top of his newspaper and shouted that Harry needed a haircut. Harry must have had more haircuts than the rest of the boys in his class put together. But it made no difference. His hair simply grew that way, all over the place. Harry was frying eggs by the time Dudley arrived in the kitchen with his mother. Dudley looked a lot like Uncle Vernon. He had a large pink face, not much neck, small, watery blue eyes, and thick blonde hair that lay smoothly on his thick, fat head. Aunt Petunia often said that Dudley looked like a baby angel. Harry often said that Dudley looked like a pig in a wig. Harry put the plates of egg and bacon on the table, which was difficult as there wasn't much room. Dudley, meanwhile, was counting his presents. His face fell. 36, he said. 2 less than it. Aunt Petutina obviously sensed danger too, because she said quickly, "And we'll buy you another two presents while we're out today. How's that, Popkin? Two more presents, is that alright?" At that moment, the telephone rang and Aunt Petutina went to answer it, while Harry and Uncle Vernon watched Dudley unwrap the racing bike, the video camera, a remote control airplane, 16 new computer games, and a VCR. He was ripping the paper off a gold wristwatch when Aunt Petutina came back from the telephone looking both angry and worried. "Bad news, Vernon," she said. Mrs. Mrs. Fig broken her leg. She can't take him. She jerked her head in Harry's direction. Dudley's mouth fell open in horror, but Harry's heart gave a leap. Every year on Dudley's birthday, his parents took him and a friend out for the day to adventure parks, hamburger restaurants, or the movies. Every year, Harry was left behind with Mrs. Flick, a mad old lady who lived 2 streets away. Harry hated it there. The whole house smelled of cabbage, and Mrs. Fig made him look at photographs of all the cats she ever owned. "Now what?" said Aunt Petutina, looking fiercely at Harry as though he had planned this. Harry knew he ought to feel sorry that Mrs. Fig had broken her leg, but it wasn't easy when he reminded himself it would be a whole year before he had to look at Tibbles, Snowy, Mr. Pauls, and Tufty again. "We could phone Marge," Uncle Vernon suggested. "Don't be silly, Vernon. She hates the boy." The Dursleys often spoke about Harry like this, as though he wasn't there, or rather, as though he was something very nasty that couldn't understand them, like a slug. "What about, what's her name, your friend, Yvonne, on vacation in Majorca?" snapped Aunt Petuna. "You could just leave me here," Harry put in hopefully. He'll be able to watch what he wanted on television for a change, and maybe even on Dudley's computer. Aunt Petutina looked as though she just swallowed a lemon. "And come back and find the house in ruins?" she snarled. "I won't blow up the house," said Harry, but they weren't listening. "I suppose you could take him to the zoo," said Aunt Petunia slowly, "and leave him in the car." "That car's new. He's not sitting in it alone." Dudley began to cry loudly. In fact, he wasn't crying. It had been years since he really cried, but he knew that if he screwed up his face and wailed, his mother would give him everything he wanted. "Dinky Doony Dums, don't cry. Mommy won't let him spoil your special day," she cried, flinging her arms around him. I don't want him to come." Dudley yelled between huge pretenses. "He always spoils everything. He's such a nasty game we had again with mother arms." Just then the doorbell rang. "Oh, good Lord, they're here," said Aunt Petutina frantically. And a moment later, Dudley's best friend, Pierce Ponkis, walked in with his mother. Pierce was a scrawny boy with a face like a rat. He was usually the one who held people's arms behind their backs while Dudley hit them. Dudley stopped pretending to cry at once. Half an hour later, Harry couldn't believe his luck was sitting in the back of Dursley's car with Pierce and Dudley, on the way to the zoo for the first time in his life. His aunt and uncle hadn't been able to think of anything else to do with him. But before they left, Uncle Vernon had taken Harry aside. "I'm warning you," he had said, putting his large purple face right up close to Harry's. "I'm warning you now, boy. Any funny business, anything at all, and you'll be in the cupboard from now until Christmas." "I'm not going to do anything," said Harry. Honestly, but Uncle Vernon didn't believe him. No one ever did. The problem was, strange things often happened around Harry, and it was no good telling the Dursley he didn't make them happen. Once Aunt Petutina, tired of Harry coming back from the barber's, looking as though he hadn't been at all, had taken a pair of kitchen scissors and cut his hair so short he was almost bald except for his bangs, which she left to hide that horrible scar. Dudley had laughed himself silly at Harry, who spent a sleepless night imagining school the next day, where he was already laughed at for his baggy clothes and thick glasses. Next morning, however, he had gotten up to find his hair exactly as it before. Another time, Aunt Petutina had been trying to force him into a revolting old sweater of Dudley's, brown with orange puffballs. The harder she tried to pull it off his head, the smaller it seemed to become, until finally it might have fitted a hand puppet, but certainly won't fit Harry. Aunt Petutina had decided it must have shrunk in the wash, and to his great relief, Harry wasn't punished. On the other hand, he had gotten into terrible trouble for being found on the roof of the school kitchens. Dudley's gang had been chasing him as usual, when as much to Harry's surprise as anyone else. There he was sitting on the chimney. The Dursleys had received a very angry letter from Harry's headmistress, telling them Harry had been climbing school buildings. But all he tried to do, as he shouted at Uncle Vernon through the locked doors of his cupboard, was jump behind the big trash cans outside the kitchen doors. Harry supposed that the wind must have caught him mid-jump. But today, nothing was going to go wrong. It was even worth being with Dudley and Pierce to be spending the day somewhere that wasn't school. His cupboard or Mrs. Fig's cabbage-smelling living room. While he drove, Uncle Vernon complained to Aunt Petunia. He liked to complain about things. People at work, Harry, the council, Harry, the blank, the bank, and Harry were just a few of his favorite subjects. This morning, it was motorcycles. Roaring around like maniacs, the young hoodlums, he said, as a motorcycle overtook them. I had a dream about a motorcycle, said Harry, remembering suddenly it was flying. Uncle Vernon nearly crashed his car into the front. He turned right around in his seat and yelled at Harry, his face like a gigantic bead of a moustache. Motorcycles don't fly. Dudley and Pierce sniggered. I know they don't, said Harry. It was only a dream. But he wished he hadn't said anything. It was a very sunny Saturday, and the zoo was crowded with families. The Dursleys brought Dudley and Pierce large chocolate ice creams to the entrance, and then, because the smiling lady in the van had asked Harry what he wanted before they could hurry him away, they brought him a cheap lemon ice pot. It wasn't bad either, Harry thought, licking it as they watched the gorilla scratching his head, who looked remarkably like Dudley, except that it wasn't blonde. Harry had the best morning he had in a long time. He was careful to walk a little way apart from the Dursleys so that Dudley and Pierce, who were starting to get bored with the animals by lunchtime, wouldn't fall back on their favourite hobby of hitting him. They ate in the zoo restaurant, and when Dudley had a tantrum because his knickerbocker glory didn't have enough ice cream on top, Uncle Vernon brought him another one, and Harry was allowed to finish the first. After lunch, they went to the reptile house. It was cool and dark in there, with lit windows all along the walls. Behind the glass, all sorts of lizards and snakes were crawling and slithering over bits of wood and stone. Dudley and Pierce wanted to see huge poisonous cobras and thick, man-crushing pythons. Dudley quickly found the largest snake in the place. It could have wrapped its body twice around Uncle Vernon's car and crushed it into a trash can. But at the moment it didn't look in the mood. In fact, it was fast asleep. Dudley stood with his nose pressed against the glass, staring at the glistening brown coils. Make it move, he whined at his father. Uncle Vernon tapped on the glass, but the snake didn't budge. Do it again. Dudley ordered. Harry moved and found the thing looked intently at the stick. He wouldn't have been surprised if it had died of boredom himself. No company except stupid people drumming their fingers on the glass trying to disturb it all day long. It was worse than having a cupboard as a bedroom, where the only visitor was Aunt Petunia having a door to wake you up. At least he got to visit the rest of the house. The snake suddenly opened its belly eyes, slowly, very slowly. The snake jerked his head toward Uncle Vernon and Dudley, then raised eyes with seeing. He gave Harry a look that said quite plainly, I get that all the time. I know, Harry murmured through the glass. Please don't show the snake to him, it must be really annoying. The snake nodded vigorously. Where did it come from anyway? Harry asked. This specimen was bred in the zoo. Oh, I see, so never able to. As the snake shook his head, definitely shot behind Harry, made both of them jump. Dudley, Mr. Dursley, can't look at this snake, you won't believe what it's doing. Dudley can. Oh, off the way, you. Punching Harry in the glass front of the boa constrictor tank had vanished. Brazil, here I come. Thanks, amigo. The keeper of the reptile house was in shock. But the glass, he kept saying, where did the glass go? He was so angry he could hardly speak. He managed to say, go cardboard, stay, no meals. Harry lay in his dark cupboard much later, wishing he had a watch. He didn't know what time it was, and he couldn't be sure that Dursley was here until they were. He lived with Dursley almost 10 years, 10 miserable years. As long as he could remember, ever since he had been a baby and his parents died in that car crash. He couldn't remember being in the car when his parents had died. Sometimes when he strained his memory during long hours in the cupboard, he came out with a strange vision. He couldn't remember his parents at all. His aunt Ethel never spoke with them, and of course he was forbidden to ask questions. There were no photographs of them in the house. When he had been younger, Harry had dreamed and dreamed of some unknown relation coming to take him away, but it never happened. The Dursley was his own family. Yet sometimes he thought, or maybe hoped, that strangers in the street seemed to know him. Very strange strangers they were too. A tiny man in a violet top hat and bowed to him once a while out shopping unto Dudley. A odd-looking old woman dressed in all green had waved merrily at him once on the bus. A bald man in a very long purple coat had actually shaken his hand in the street the other day, and then walked away without a word. The weirdest thing about all these people was the way they seemed to vanish the second Harry tried to get a closer look. At school, Harry and no one. Everybody knew that Dursley's gang hated the odd Harry in his baggy old clothes and broken glasses and no blimps. This could be Dudley's gang. Chapter 3. The Letters from No One. The Escape of the Brazilian Boa Constrictor. And first night on. Harry was glad school was over, but there was no escaping Dudley's gang, who visited the house every single day. But as Dudley was biggest and stupidest of the lot, he was the leader. The rest of them were all quite happy to join in Dudley's favorite sport, Harry hunting. This was why Harry spent as much time as possible out of the house, wandering around and thinking about the holidays. When September came, he would be going off to secondary school, and for the first time in life, he wouldn't be with Dudley. Dudley had my sister and uncles were in all private schools. The day staff people sat down the toilet on the first day of Stonewall into everyone can't access and practice. No thanks, said Harry. The poor toilets never had anything as cold as head down there might be sick. Then he ran before Dudley could work out what he said. One day in July, Aunt Petutina took Dudley to London to buy his smelting's uniform, leaving Harry and Mrs. Fix. Mrs. Fix wasn't as bad as usual. Then she had broken a leg tripping over one of her cats. She didn't seem quite as fond of them as before. She let Harry watch everything and gave him a chocolate cake that tasted as though she had it for several years. That evening, Dudley paraded around the living room for the family in his brand new uniform. Smelting boys wore maroon tailcoats, orange kicker bokers, and flat straw hats that called boaters. They also carried knobbly sticks, used for hitting each other while the teachers weren't looking. This was supposed to be good training for later life. As he looked at Dudley in his new kicker boxers, Uncle Vernon said gruffly that it was the proudest moment of his life. Aunt Petutina burst into tears and said she couldn't believe it. It was a Ickle Dudley Kins. She looked so handsome and grown up. Harry didn't trust himself to speak. He thought two of his ribs might already have cracked from trying not to laugh. There was a horrible smell in the kitchen the next morning when and tried not to think about how he was going to look on his first day at Stonewall High, like he was wearing bits of old elephant skin probably. Dudley and Uncle Vernon came in, both with wrinkled noses because of the smell from Harry's new uniform. Uncle Vernon opened his newspaper as usual, and Dudley banged his smelting stick, which he carried everywhere on the table. They heard the click of the mail slot and flop of letters on the doormat. Get the mail, Dudley, said Uncle Vernon from behind his paper. Make Harry get it. Get the mail, Harry. Make Dudley get it. Poke him with your smelting stick, Dudley. Then we'll sing Harry stamp. Turning the envelope over, his hand trembling, saw a purple white seal. Hurry up, boy! Shouted Uncle Ron. What are you doing? Checking for letter bombs? He chuckled at his own joke. He handed Uncle the bill and pulled and said, Daddy tried to get away, but Uncle Vernon had a higher rate. I put it for a moment. But no one was good. The stage seemed to have forgotten that Harry and the mixing room. Dudley wasn't used to being ignored. He gave his father a sharp tap on the head with his smoking stick. I want to read that letter, said Dudley. I want to read it, said Harry, as his mind. Get out. Vernon, look at the address. How's your room where he sleeps? You don't think they're watching house? Watching Spider-Man for us. Where's my letter? Said Harry. Harry, yes, about the cupboard. Your aunt and I have been thinking. You're really getting a bit big for it. Why? Said Harry. Don't ask questions. Take this out now. In the corner was Dudley's first ever television set, which he put his foot through when his favourite program had been cancelled. There was a large bird cage, which had once held a parrot that Dudley had swapped at school for a real air rifle, which is up on the shelf with the end all bent because Dudley had sat on it. Other shelves were full of books. There were only things in the room that looked as though they had never been touched. From downstairs came the sound of Dudley brawling at his mother. I don't want him here. I need that room. Make him get out. Harry sighed and stretched out on the bed. Yesterday he had been given anything to be up here. Today he rather back in his cupboard with that letter up here without it. When the mail arrived, Uncle Vernon, who seemed to be trying to be nice to Harry, made Dudley go and get it. They heard him banging with his smoking stick all the way down the room. Then he shouted, "There's another one, this about this." Go to your cupboard, I mean your bedroom. He wheezed at Harry. Dudley just go. Harry walked around his new room. Someone knew he had moved out of his cupboard, and they seemed to know that he hadn't received his first letter. Surely they mean they'll try again. The repaid alarm clock rang at 6 in the morning. Harry turned it off quickly and dressed silently. He mustn't wake the Dursley. He stole downstairs. All these people minds work in strange ways, but Tutina, they're not like you and me, trying to knock in a nail with a piece of fruitcake. But Putina had just bought him. On Friday, no less than 12 letters arrived for Harry. As they couldn't go through the mail slot, they were pushed under the door, slotted through the sides, and a few even forced through the small windows in the downstairs bathroom. Uncle Vernon again. On Saturday, things began to get out of hand. 24 letters to Harry found their way into the house, rolled up and hidden inside each of the 2 dozen eggs. Something came whizzing down the kitchen chimney as he spoke down and crunched sharply on the bed. The next moment, 30 or 40 letters came pelting out of the fireplace like bullets. The dusty ducked, but Harry leaped on the edge trying to catch one. Out, out! Once he Harry away and threw him to the hall when 10 minutes later, they had wrenched their way through the boarded-up doors and were in the car speeding towards the highway. Dudley was sniffling in the back seat. His father had hit him round the head for holding up while he tried to pack his television. They drove and they drove. Even Aunt Tina didn't dare to ask where they were going. Every now and then, Uncle Ron would take a sharp turn and drive in the opposite direction. They didn't stop to eat or drink all day. Uncle Vernon stopped at last outside a gloomy-looking hotel on the outskirts of a big city. Dudley and Harry shared a room with twin beds and damp, musty sheets. Dudley snored, but Harry stayed awake, sitting on the windowsill, staring down at the lights of passing cars and wondering. They ate stale cornflakes and cooked tinned tomatoes on toast for breakfast the next day. They had just finished when the owner of the hotel came over to their table. Excuse me, but is one of you Mr. H. Potter? Only I've got about 100 of them at the front desk. Exactly what he was looking for now then knew. He drove in the middle of the forest, got out, looked around, shook his head, got back in the car, and off they went again. Daddy's gone mad, hasn't he? Dudley asked. Monday. This reminded Harry of something. If it was Monday, he could usually count on Dudley. Don't need to do it because of the television. Then tomorrow, Tuesday, was Harry's 11th birthday. Of course, his birthday would never do. Storm Forest for tonight. A toothless old man came ambling to them, pointing to Raffles Green. So Ivory got some relief, but it was freezing the boat. What's it, man? They reached the rock when sleeping inside the broken house. Uncle Vernon's rations turned out to be a bag of chips each and 4 bananas. He tried to start a fire, but the empty chips bag just smoked and shriveled up. Could do with some of those letters now, eh? He said cheerfully. He was in a very good mood. Obviously, he thought nobody stood a chance of reaching them in the storm to deliver mail. Harry privately agreed, though the thought didn't cheer him at all. As night fell, the promised storm blew up around them. Spray from the highway splattered the walls of the hut, and a fierce wind rattled. She and Uncle Vernon went off to the lumpy bed next door, and Harry was left to find the softest bit of floor he could and could curl under thin smooth rag blankets. "5 minutes to go." Harry heard something creak outside. Maybe the house in Private Drive would be so full of letters when they got back that they would steal one somehow. 3 minutes to go. Was that the sea slapping hard on the rock like that? And 2 minutes to go. What was that funny crunching noise? Was the rock crumbling into the sea? 1 minute to go and he'll be 11. 30 seconds, 20, 10, 9. Maybe he'll wake Dudley up just to annoy him. 3, 2, 1, boom. The whole shack shivered and Harry sat bolt upright. Staring at the door, sounds was like knocking to come in. Chapter 4, the keeper of the keys. Boom, they knocked again. Uncle Vernon came skidding into the room. He was holding a rifle in his hands. Now they knew what he had in the long time. Who's there? Shouted one young mom. Then Paul smashed. That was there something. A giant of a man was standing in the doorway. His face was almost completely hidden by a long, shaggy mane of hair, and a wild, tangled beard, but you could make out his eyes glinting like black beetles under all the hair. Dudley squealed and ran to hide behind his mother, who was crouching terrified behind the woman. And here's Harry, said the giant. Harry looked up into the fierce, wild, shadowy face and saw that the beetle eyes were clean in a smile. Last time I saw you, you were only a baby, said the giant. Yeah, look a lot like your dad, but yeah, got your mom's eyes. Uncle put on me a funny wrestling moving noise. I didn't want you to leave at once, sir. He said, you're breaking and entering. You are breaking and entering. Ah, shut up, Dursley. They are great prunes, said the giant. He reached over the back of the sofa, jerked the gun out of Vernon's hands, and bent it into a knot, as easy as made out of rubber, and threw it into the corner of the room. Now Vernon made another funny noise, like a mouse being trodden out. Anyway, Harry, said the giant, turning back his eyes. Very happy birthday to you, yeah? Got someone fear, yeah? Yeah, Miss Santa Pong, I'll take it alright. From an inside pocket of his black overcoat, he pulled a slightly squashed box. Harry opened it with trembling fingers. I was like to chocolate. Happy birthday, icing. Harry looked at the giant. He meant to say thank you, but the words got lost on the way to his mouth. He said, who are you? True, I haven't dreamed the keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts. He held an enormous hand and shook Harry's whole arm. What about that tea then, eh? He said, rubbing his hands together. I'll not say too stronger if I got mine. His eyes saw the empty grate with the shriveled heads bags in it, and he snorted. He bent down over the fireplace. Oh! I'll be back in 2 minutes. His eyes fell on the empty grate with the shriveled chips bag. His eyes fell on the empty grate with the shriveled chips bag in it, and he snorted. He bent down over the fireplace. They couldn't see what was he doing, but when he drew back a second later, there was a roaring fire there. It filled the whole damn hut with flickering light, and Harry felt the warmth washed over him as though he sunk into a hot bath. The giant sat back down on the sofa, which sagged under his weight, and began taking all sorts of things out of the pockets of his coat. A copper kettle, a squashy packet of sausages, a poker, a teapot, several chipped mugs, and a bottle of some amber liquid that he took a swig before starting to make tea. Soon the hut was full of the sound and smell of sizzling sausage. Nobody said a thing while the giant was working, but as he slid the first 6 fat, juicy, slightly burnt sausages from the poker, Dudley fidgeted a little. Uncle Vernon said sharply, "Don't touch anything he gives you, Dudley." The giant chuckled darkly. "You're a great pudding of a son, don't need fattening anymore, Dursley. Don't worry." He passed the sausage to Harry, who was so hungry he never tasted anything so wonderful. But he still couldn't take his eyes off the giant. Finally, as nobody seemed to explain it, he said, "I'm sorry, but I still don't even know who you are." Yeah, it's them as should be sorry. I knew you're gonna. Never thought you'll know about Hogwarts for crying out loud. You never wonder your parents don't know. All what, Harry thundered. Now wait just 1 second. He had leapt into his feet, and his anger seemed to fill the whole hut. The Dursley were covering the wall. Do you mean? Tell me, he growled at this boy knows nothing about anything. Harry thought this was going a bit far. He had been in school after all. It's not so bad. Wimble. Harry stared wildly at Harry. But yeah, must know. But yeah, mom and dad, I mean, they're famous. You're famous. What? My mom and dad weren't famous, were they? Yeah, don't know. Hedgie ran his fingers through his hair, fixing Harry with a Yeah, don't know. What? Yeah. Said finally, Uncle Vernon suddenly found his voice. Stop, sorry, that's I thought you tell about anything. A real man that Vernon would have quivered under the furious look behind Harry's boots. Never told him what was the letter Dumbledore left for him. I was there. I saw Dumbledore leave it thirsty and you were killed. All these years. It's not for me. And thumping good, and I'll say, once you have been trained up a bit with a mum and dad like yours, what else would you be? And I reckon it's about time you read the letter. Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Headmaster Albus Dumbledore. Dear Mr. Potter, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Please find and close the list of all necessary books and equipment. Term begins on September 1st. We await your owl by no later than July 31st. Yours sincerely, Minerva McGonagall, Deputy Headmistress. Questions exploded inside Harry's head like fireworks, and he couldn't decide which to ask first. After a few minutes, he stammered, "What does it mean, they await my hour?" Deputy Gordon Terry might see Harry clipping into his one. Dear Professor Dumbledore, given Harry his letter. Taking him to buy his things tomorrow. Weather is horrible. Hope you are well, Hajit. Harry will not get out. Which kind of Still a shamefaced but looking very angry, moving the firelight. He's not going, he said. Hajit grunted. I like to see a great muggle like you stop him. A what? Said Harry, interested. A muggle, said Harry. It's what we call nomadic folk like him. And it's your bad luck grown inside me of the biggest muggles I ever laid eyes on. We swore when we told him we would put a stop to the rubbish, said Uncle Ron. Swore we snap it out of a wizard indeed. You knew, said Harry, you knew I'm a wizard. Knew what straight up, but knew, of course we knew. How could you not be in my dress? She could have left them just like that. Then she met the Potter at school, and they left and got married, and had you. And of course, I knew you were just the same, just as strange, just as normal. Car crash. Jumping out swinging in the dusty skirt in the corner. How could a car kill Lily James? He said in a low, worried voice. I had no idea. When Dumbledore told me that there might be trouble getting hold of you, how much I didn't know. Harry, I don't know if I'm the right person to tell you, but someone's gotta. Yeah, I can't go off on what's not knowing. Well, it's best you know as much as I can. Yeah, mind tell you. Yeah, everything you can mention. He sat down, stared into the fireplace for a few seconds, and then said, "It begins as well with a person caught by a criminal. Yeah, I don't know. He's saying one the world knows who. Well, I don't know. Saying why not? Gulping gulping heavy people are still scared. Blimey, this was difficult. See, that was a wizard who went bad. As bad as you could go. Worse than worse. His name was Henry. Voldemort. Harry shot. Don't make me say it again. Anyways, this wizard, 20 years ago now, started looking for followers. Got him two of it. Dark days, Harry didn't know who to trust. Didn't dare get friendly with strange wishes. Terrible things happened. He was talking over cause some stood up to him and he killed them horribly. One of the only safe places left was Hogwarts. Reckon Dumbledore was the only one you know who was afraid of. Didn't dare try taking you to school. Not just them anyway. Now, yeah, Mum, that was as good as a witch and a wizard as I knew. Head boy and girl at Hogwarts in their day. Suppose the mystery is why you know who never tried to get them on his side before. Probably knew they were too close to Dumbledore, the ending in the dark side. Maybe he thought he could persuade them. Maybe he just wanted them out of the way. All anyone knows is he turned up in the village where you was all living. Just a year old. He came to the house and you know who killed them. And then this is the real mystery of the thing. Shaq wanted to make a clean job of it, I suppose, or maybe he just liked killing by then, but he couldn't do it. Then I wondered how you got that mark on your forehead. That was not a recut. That was what you get when a powerful evil curse touches you and took care of everyone there. But it didn't work on you, and that's why you're famous, Harry. No one ever lived after he decided to kill them. No one except you. And he killed some of the old best witches and wizards of the age. You was only a baby and you lived. Something very painful was going on in Harry's mind. As Haji's story came to a close, he saw something the blinding flash of green light more clearly than he ever remembered before. And then he remembered something else. For the first time in his life, a high, cold crow laughed. Haji was watching him sadly. Took Ye from the ruined house on Dumbledore's orders. Brought Ye to this lot. Load of old tosh, said Uncle Vernon. Harry jumped. He almost forgot that Uncle Vernon said. Probably nothing a good beating wouldn't have cured. And as for all this about your parents' world, they were weird. There was no denying it. The world's got better without him. That's better, said Hajit, breathing heavily and sitting back down on the sofa, with this time sagged right down to the floor. Harry, meanwhile, still had questions to ask. Hundreds of them. But what happened to Vo? Sorry, I mean, you know who? Good question, Harry. Disappeared, vanished. Same night he tried to kill you. Makes him even famous. That's the biggest machine. He was getting more powerful. Where did he go? Some say he died. Go, in my opinion. Don't know if he had enough human left in him to die. Some say he's still out there, biding his time like that, but I don't believe it. People who was on his sides came back to ours. Some of them came out of ton of trenches. Don't reckon they could have done it if he was coming back. Both of them reckon he's still out there somewhere but lost his powers. Too weak to carry on. There was something about you finished him, Harry. There was something going on the night he hadn't counted on. I don't know what it was, no one does, but something about you stumped him, alright? Hajit looked at Harry with warmth and respect blazing in his eyes, but Harry, instead of feeling pleased and proud, felt quite sure that there had been a horrible mistake. A wizard him? How could he possibly be? He spent his life being clouted by Dudley and bullied by Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon. Really a wizard. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining me on today's live. It's been very good reading today's book with everybody. Harry Potter fan chat. Join the magic. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining me today. Goodbye everybody.